All right, I'm going to label this the nothing to see here edition of the news of the day over here on the Entertainment Guy. This is just like stuff that goes on during the day. This is stuff that piles up that I'm like, I kind of talk about that and get it off my chest. The funny thing is, even when hockey season's on, this kind of thing goes on. It just sits there. So now I can do a video where I discuss it. First off, I found myself obviously channel scrolling a little more than I used to and getting into some old episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I own all 7 seasons, but honestly, man, sometimes I forget how good it was when it was really good. Like, there are some episodes that aren't very good. That's going to happen with any show that goes on for that long. But when it was really good, like, it was just such a fantastic show, and there's a desperate need on my behalf to just power through that show all over again, and we'll see when that happens and what I can do to incorporate the channel into that. I did find on eBay a seller selling off cards. They apparently produce cards for each season of the show. They have like all the characters and all that. So I've got a set that's going to be on the way. We'll see if I can incorporate that into some video idea. And if it works, if it's a popular enough thing, then I can see myself finding the rest of the collection, the other seasons as well. Again, it's a matter of just trial and error. I'm just going, okay, does this work? If it doesn't, great, fine, well, I tried. And if it works, then awesome. I found a new avenue through which we can, find something to talk about right now, because everything outside is kind of not cool. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about Impact Wrestling. So I talk about AEW and I talk about WWE. Impact is kind of the unknown stepbrother to the whole thing. Like it doesn't have the budget of WWE and AEW. Anytime I watch Impact, I'm impressed by some of Impact. I am impressed by some of what they're doing, but it doesn't sustain itself over the length of the show. There are certain angles, certain characters, certain ideas that I go, you know what, that's a really good idea. And then the next segment I'm like, and that doesn't work. So there's always for me been sort of this I want to see it succeed attitude towards Impact. It's similar to ROH. ROH at times has been absolutely fantastic, and at others it just hasn't quite worked. And Impact has stuck around. Impact kind of was expected by some, myself included, to kind of capitulate when AEW came in. That they were going to end up being, basically done for, because anybody who was a star in Impact was going to end up going to the AEW or WWE, and same with ROH. Anybody in ROH was going to end up in WWE or AEW. Now NWA also has an in there as well. It's not anywhere near what it was in the 80s when it came to territories, but it feels like wrestling's kind of gotten back. Now, of course, this also opens up another discussion, which is, Impact has had a lot of pre-taped episodes, so they still have fans in attendance in the episodes that they're airing, which of course WWE and AEW don't. And the question becomes, if we see an extended hiatus from the world of professional wrestling, what happens to those companies then? We've certainly heard a lot of discussion about how many restaurants may end up out of business, how many small businesses just won't be able to survive this. And so what happens to the whole landscape when it comes to professional wrestling? Does Impact find a way back from this? I have to say the segment I saw today, which I was impressed with out of everything, they had a Sami Callihan versus Tommy Dreamer match that was Tommy Dreamer, I get it. He's been doing the same thing though for a very long time. You get what you get with Tommy Dreamer matches, and that's it. And he may be a perfectly nice guy, but there was a segment they had with this Susie character where she has the evil side and the good side, and she's walking around backstage as Susie, the good character, and it was great. Wrestlers were faking that they were really scared of her and running away from her. Backstage guys running away from her, and my favorite was one of the wrestlers just sort of running. Oh, good, you're not murdery now. That's good. Not stabbing people. Kind of something along that line. And when she's like, I'm good now. I'm fine. Oh, good. No more murdering. So I thought that was really funny. And again, those are the segments that tell me there's really something there with Impact, and it would be great to see it over a full 2 hours. And that's been their struggle, I've felt, really for a very long time. and it goes back quite a while. I did enjoy Impact more when it was TNA. You had AJ Styles as the young champ, and Bobby Roode. You had Beer Money. Like there was some really good stuff going on there, but maybe they can get back there. And again, how do they weather all this? How are these companies going to weather this, or do they somehow combine forces so that put together they've got the money and the manpower to come out of this? It's going to be interesting to see how it's handled. Now, I also want to discuss, and this has been in the news today, but for people avoiding the news, I'm gonna make this non-crazy, because right now, yeah, with the news, it does tend to get kind of sensationalistic. Stay home. It's not about freedoms. It's not about all this other stuff. Just stay home. Nobody's asking anybody to do anything crazy. Just stay home. If you can, stay home. And now they're starting to change their opinion on masks. The funny thing is, my wife and I have been completely of the mind that if you leave the house, you wear a mask. And the reason for it was simple. You act as if you have it. There are instances where in countries that have been dealing with this for months that they've dealt with how many people can pass this on when they're asymptomatic. So you haven't shown any signs yet, but you have it. You may not show symptoms and you have it, and you can pass it on to other people. So they're starting to say, you know what, in order to really make this whole thing work, when people go out, maybe they should all be wearing masks. Now, reportedly, the big fear they had was that there would be a rush on masks and that we would see a complete and total decimation of the supply chain for medical professionals. That's what they were trying to avoid. But we're up to such numbers now that they're saying, you know what, masks are for the best. And again, I understand there are some drawbacks to that, but honestly, the studies and the preliminary seem to state that it lowers the risk by something like 50%. Again, read up on it and just again, it's about staying safe and stay home as much as possible. I haven't left the house to go anywhere, and it'll be 3 weeks tomorrow, I believe, since I went anywhere. Like even there's a park within walking distance. Nope, no interest in going there. There's no chance. I've been in my backyard a few times. I've been in the front yard a few times. That's as far as I go. Even when Canada Post drops things off, I don't go out and talk to them. I did up until this all started. There's contactless delivery when you're getting food delivered, and again, there is no 100% safe when you're dealing with others, but it's a matter of minimizing all of that risk as much as possible. So there you go. Sort of my PSA, and again, because I know not everybody's watching the news, I'm just saying they're sort of starting to change the advice on what to do with the mask thing. And again, with my wife, she's been making them, so we're not taking the paper masks, we're not taking ones away. I did before things really got crazy. I had ordered about, I think it's 100 filters that we have coming, so we have filters for the masks as well. So, and I'm glad I ordered them when I did, because odds are right now they're probably completely sold out. I also wanted to discuss this. I know this came out about a week ago. It kind of makes me like, really? I kind of feel slighted. Meghan and Harry ditched Canada. They hadn't even got here yet. They had a house rented. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Meghan and Harry they're gonna live in Canada. That's nice, and we'll be nice to them now. They're down in California. Well, all right. So much for that. I really thought that was kind of cool. I thought, maybe at some point, someday, I run into Harry out in public or Meghan. It'd be just amazing. And, there were reports from around where they were that had already happened a couple of times. I was like, that's really cool. That'd be really pretty awesome. And they've decided that they've ditched Canada. So with a tear running down our cheeks, we Canadians say, fine, we didn't want you anyways. That's fine. You guys go to the States. I also wanted to touch on this. So Zoom, which is the new, well, it's not new, but it's teleconferencing, right? And in this new era of we're all going to stay at home, teleconferencing now has become a big deal. So Zoom, which is free, you go ahead and you set up your call. Now, if you haven't used it yet, I'm going to pass along what others have been saying. I've seen this on news reports. I've seen this on YouTube as well. Be careful. So if these are public, there was an incident at one of probably many where it's a public call. They didn't realize it was a public call. Somebody was trolling that public call, which was a lesson for children. And people are just generally dicks. So if you're setting it up, make sure you know the advanced settings. Make sure that it's not for public consumption, so that the link is only shared with people you want it to be shared with, and go from there. And I know Zoom's something that I was looking at for my Patreon, and we're considering that. I'm going to go through it and make sure that it is as secure as possible, and that we can. The other thing with Zoom that does make me kind of nervous is when everything's free, there's a cost. And they said that on the news today too. They said, remember, nothing's really free. So if you're installing something, if you're using something, if you're whatever software and you go, hey, this is free, check it out. There's some kind of transfer going to them to justify them giving it away. So there's something that either they're selling, or there's some other features you're not going to be able to use that would be paid for. This is just, and I'm not talking about Zoom, I'm talking about just generally on the internet. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. That's something we've lived by since I did Consumers Ed class back in 1987, 88, somewhere in that region. I think it was 88 actually. Yeah, and it's still true now. So if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Absolutely. And this is something I tell people when it comes to buying goods online. So people buy hockey jerseys online and they send me a link and they go, do you think this is fake? The best way to answer that is, if you're buying a jersey that says it's authentic, the wholesale price is over $100. So with the wholesale price being over $100, if you're getting one with a name and number on the back and it's $50, yes, that's a fake. I don't even have to look at anything else. I just go, yep, that's because if you're running a business and you pay $100 for something and then you sell it for $50, and you're not Dan Quayle. Anyways, I'm just saying it's not good business. Is my point. So yeah, Zoom, be careful because it's free. Things can look too good to be true. I also want to say too, I've been getting emails lately, and obviously I know they're fake, but if you get something that looks like it's from Shoppers Drug Mart or London Drugs, or this is obviously on the Canada side of the border, but if you get something where it's like, hey, click here, be careful, because it's really easy right now to get phished. It feels to me like hackers are just working overtime right now. That they're like, everybody's home, let's see what we can do. So again, email's just one of those things that, just got to always be careful. Something else that's in the news, and it's entertainment related. So Instacart, where you do ordering, Amazon, where you do ordering, and obviously there's delivery services as well. There's criticism coming out now towards Amazon and their practices when it comes to their workers. For people working at Amazon, of course, it's been declared as essential by many because they do deliver items to those of us in the public who we need those things. And there are certain items I've been ordering on Amazon that I've had delivered in the last week or so, which were household items that we really would rather not go to the store and pick up. So the people who are putting that in the packaging, the people who are mailing it out, the people who are delivering it, they need to make sure that they are protected, and in some cases they're not being protected, whether it's not being protected on the front lines or not having any kind of sick pay should they end up being ill. That's a problem. Another thing is, of course, we know that not everybody gets tested when they get sick. So somebody may get sick, and because they haven't had a test to test positive for COVID, that means that the protections aren't there. So they may say, oh yeah, for COVID cases, we go ahead and we give them 2 weeks off. But if they don't get tested, they don't pay them. So that's where the problem is, and that's where there's definitely an issue that a doctor goes, yeah, you're pretty sick, you should stay home. And they're thinking, I can't afford to. I've seen that. I used to see that at my old job, and it was heartbreaking. And finally, we did get sick days. It was something I personally, for years, said was necessary. And I think we had 5. I think it was 5 over a calendar year we got. And I used to say to my boss all the time, look, you have to give sick days so that those people aren't coming in here and making other people sick. And now we're like on this global stage where that's kind of a necessity. So in that case, I was lucky to have a union that managed to get that negotiated in. And for a lot of these people, they may not have that. So I know there's talks about strikes and all this other stuff going on, and that's going to cause disruptions of the goods being brought to our homes and to all of this. So the big thing for us right now is trying to make sure that line is protected. because we still need to get things into our homes without all being out in public at a store and in large groups. Large groups need to be avoided at all costs. So hopefully this all gets figured out. I also wanted to end this with something that's sort of uplifting, and again, I know there are some people right now, with everybody being kind of forced to be home. There are going to be instances where it creates a lot of family tension, and it's going to take for those who are in poor situations, whether it's a poor financial situation or just it's a family that's dysfunctional. This is going to be a really really tough time. There's been jokes about babies being born out of all this. That's certainly true. There will definitely be people having kids 8-9 months from now because they're home and there's not much to do. So there's that. But I'm very thankful because really, in all honesty, we were already doing homeschooling, and my wife and I get along very very well. We do not aggravate each other. So being home all the time has not negatively impacted us, and I'm very thankful for that. So I've had people reach out to me on social media and just in general over the last while. I've always had that. As a YouTuber, you're going to get that. I produce daily videos on my main channel, and so I know there are people that connect with me due to the fact that I'm part of their daily life. And I know how important that is, which is why I'm putting videos on this channel and on the main channel and trying to do so daily, because it is important for some sense of routine. So for people who are going through a rough time right now, there are still resources that you can reach out to. I've talked about this in other videos where I talk about depression and mental health issues. They're still out there. You can still use those, and I encourage people to do that. There's no shame in admitting, you know what, right now I am stressed. And all of us are. So if it makes anybody else feel better, we're all feeling that way. I'm feeling that way. I had a hard time getting out of bed this morning because just the sheer weight of some of this, it can really have a severe impact. But at the end of it, I'm like, you know what, Shannon, you got to get up. You've got to do your duty. This is what you're doing. You're helping other people, and you're making sure that you're providing content, which also in that essence as well helps to provide for the family unit that I've got here and helps to keep things somewhat stable. It is a tough time, and we will get through this. So again, we're doing everything we can. I know my wife was talking to somebody on Facebook today, and they were having a hard time with the fact they didn't have access to masks, and they wanted masks, and she said, I've got masks here. So they came by, they picked up 4 of them, and my wife said, I'm giving them away for free. That's it. She's given masks away for free, and so far, in return, people have provided us with a large bag of flour. People bought us groceries from Costco, and there were also today there was money. Somebody actually paid her, even though she said don't. So all of this is and yes, it was paper money, and they bleached it. So this is where we're at now, where paper money, oh boy, and people will make sure that that's sanitized as well. I'm really proud of her for what she's doing, and I'm very proud of people doing what they can to help and to give back right now. So one of the things that I think of when I'm doing these videos is that if I do videos and they perform well and the revenues are there, some of that obviously will go to my wife, who is doing this, where she's making these things, and it's not free. It's not like the fabric's free or the elastic she's using in the masks is free. But again, it's for other people's health. It's the idea that this was a family of 4, and giving them access to that when you've got people who are immunocompromised in your family, that can be huge. So stay safe. Keep your head up. There are people who are doing good things right now. I know the people that aren't doing good things kind of tend to stand out, and they're newsworthy. There are plenty of other people doing good things, including the iHeartRadio living room concert. So, and that's something I didn't really report on, but it's nice to see this kind of thing going on. Right as soon as all of entertainment shut down, I thought they're going to have to do some kind of a simulcast on TV. They're going to have to do something where they're broadcasting on, and it basically everything becomes sort of a podcast kind of situation. So for podcasters, kind of ahead of the curve on this one. And hey, again, stay safe, wash your hands. If you can, stay home, and if you can't, you're on the front lines, We are very thankful for people who have to work through this, and we'll get through it. So thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.